Well, welcome and thank you so much for joining us for Pioneer Human Services Changemaker event. We want to welcome our guests from across Washington State, many of them joining this event for the first time in its new virtual format. My name is Angela Poe Russell, and I'm the co-host of Evening on King 5, and I'm also a supporter of Pioneer Human Services. I'm here because, like so many of you, I believe deeply in second chances and investing in people. This event raises critical funds to support stable housing and employment for individuals working to rebuild their lives in our communities. Many of the people Pioneer serves have been disproportionately impacted by COVID-19 and need your support now more than ever. Pioneer has a goal of raising $225,000 through this event series. And as you can see on our donor meter, we're getting there. We're at $154,000, which is awesome. I encourage you all to give generously throughout this event by clicking the donate button at the top of Pioneer's website, or you can just text us. Text the word Pioneer to 345-345, the word Pioneer. Now, in today's program, we're going to be joined by Pioneer's CEO, Karen Lee. We'll hear from our keynote speaker, Adam Foss, and we'll debut the final episode highlighting the stories of Derek and Marquita, who shared with us in earlier episodes what their life was like before Pioneer and how Pioneer helped them transform their lives. Today, we'll find out where they are now. Now, look, if you haven't already seen parts 1 and 2 of Derek and Marquita's stories, I strongly encourage you to watch them, and you can do so on the Changemaker website right after this event. Well, before we move forward to the program, I also want to thank our Life Changer sponsor, Vulcan, for supporting Pioneer's mission. They had this to share with us. Vulcan is honored to support Pioneer Human Services and their mission to provide individuals with criminal histories the opportunity to lead healthy, productive lives. Thank you, Vulcan. Your support and generosity are felt throughout this community and especially here at Pioneer. Next, I'd like to introduce you to Karen Lee, CEO of Pioneer Human Services.
Thanks, Angela, and welcome everyone. I'm Karen Lee, and I'm proud to be Pioneer's CEO. Pioneer is a nonprofit social enterprise in Washington that serves individuals that are involved in the legal system who are in need of treatment, housing, job skills training, and employment. Pioneer uses a targeted and holistic approach that's specifically designed to address the full spectrum of rehabilitation, and that's based on the needs and strengths of every individual that we serve. As a social enterprise, Pioneer also operates multiple business lines that provide on-the-job training and work experience for justice-involved individuals, and those jobs focus on career paths and living wage jobs. Our business lines include aerospace manufacturing, warehouse distribution, food services, and construction. The revenue from our businesses helps to fund our services. 2020, unfortunately, has been a hard year for us, both as a business and a nonprofit. The aerospace industry has dramatically reduced its need for our products, and that in turn has reduced the financial support that our businesses can provide to our services. At the same time, our clients have been hit disproportionately hard by COVID-19, and many have lost their jobs as a result of the economic downturn. We're proud that we've been able to maintain our services during this difficult time, and we've been able to provide additional help to our clients in the form of transportation support and rent subsidies and utility assistance, groceries, and other basic needs. Pioneer's social justice and advocacy work are more relevant now than ever. We work hard to divert people with substance use disorder or behavioral health issues out of the legal system so that they can get the care that they need and not be incarcerated for what is ultimately a healthcare condition. We also work with people that have been incarcerated to give them the tools and skills that they need to reenter society on a path to success. Thank you for joining us today, and please stay tuned to learn more.
Well, thank you, Karen. As you heard her say, Pioneer's work is more important than ever. And to all of our audience, please keep those donations coming. We need them. We know we can reach our goal today thanks to you. Well, now it is my honor to introduce our keynote speaker. Adam J. Foss is the founder and executive director at Prosecutor Impact. It's this nonprofit organization that develops innovative curriculum and experiential training for prosecutors across the country. Project Impact's goal is to reduce the use of incarceration by training criminal prosecutors to employ data-informed, sustainable, and safety-focused interventions that are aimed at fostering more equitable outcomes for the communities they serve. Let's welcome Adam.
Hello. My name is Adam Foss. I'm the executive director of an organization called Prosecutor Impact. And I want to start by saying thank you for having me be the keynote speaker at the annual Changemaker event. I want to thank the folks from Pioneer Human Services and the families and individuals who both have influenced the work that Pioneer Human Services does, but also the impact that you've had on those families and on those communities. So thank you for allowing me this great honor. In fact, I feel a bit of an imposter syndrome because I know who else is speaking at this event, and I know the depth of knowledge that the citizens who have returned home, for the families who have welcomed them home, for the communities where they live, the talent, time, and treasure is there. And so there is a bit of humbleness in being able to speak to you today that I wanted to call out and thank you for. We're in the midst of a global pandemic that is depriving us of lives that belong out here with us, trying to solve some of these intractable problems. And I'm not talking about the pandemic of COVID-19. I'm talking about the pandemic of mass incarceration and the reality that as a prosecutor I stood on the front lines and was complicit in the construct of this pandemic makes me feel obligated to be part of the antidote. And this time with you today is just a small part of my trying to contribute to that antidote. So again, I thank you for how meaningful this is to me. I remember when I was 19 years old and I was standing across from a police officer handing him thousands of dollars of cash that I had stuffed up into the wall of my bedroom, and I remember handing him the little scraps of marijuana that I left over from the pounds that I was trafficking between Philadelphia and Boston. And I remember looking at that police officer and him looking at me and me registering the look on his face of one contempt and disgust and frustration that I had become a statistic. And I remember looking at him and thinking to myself like, oh my goodness, I'm in trouble. But despite the fact that I was a black man in the United States of America standing across from a police officer just having been caught drug trafficking during the 1990s war on drugs, here's what trouble looked like to me. My mom and dad are going to be really mad. They're going to take away my brand new Razr cell phone. They might take away the pickup truck that I bought for myself with my 17th birthday money. And I remember the other dude who got caught on campus selling drugs. He had to move all the way across campus. That was trouble to me. But had I been anywhere else at any other time, here's what trouble should have looked like to me. What I had done was a federal crime. I didn't know that. But it carried with it a 10-year minimum mandatory sentence at the state level. I didn't know that either. And because of that 10-year minimum mandatory sentence for the crime that I had committed, the likelihood I pled out to that case was about 100%. And in pleading out to that case, I would have given myself the forever moniker of convicted drug felon. And in giving myself that title, having to walk around for the rest of my life with that scar on my chest, I would have deprived myself of the access of all the things that actually keep us safe. And the reason that it's so important that Pioneer Human Services is doing what they're doing. The access to housing, the access to education, the access to employment, the access to post-social activity, to healthcare, to childcare, to transportation, to all of these other protective factors in our lives, which actually keep us safe. And in depriving myself of the access to those things, the likelihood that I commit another crime actually went up, not down. And each time I re-engaged with the criminal justice system, the likelihood I commit a further, more serious crime went up, not down. Until some point in time, I would have victimized another person, at which point the government would have sent me to prison for double-digit decades, and I never would have had the opportunity to be here. I didn't realize how close I was to the edge of a rabbit hole that millions of people who look just like me fall down every single year, and we are deprived of having their time, treasure, and talent next to us because of the intractability of that rabbit hole. I didn't realize how easily, if that police officer, he wanted to, could have pushed me over the edge of that rabbit hole, and down it I would have fallen, disappearing as well. But I didn't, and I'm here. I got to go back to college. I graduated from college and went out into the workforce. I worked for 3 years. I came out of the workforce. I went to law school. I went to law school for 3 years. I came out of law school and I went to one of the most prestigious DA's offices in the country, where I became a prosecutor. I worked as a prosecutor for 9 years, having a wildly decorated career, so decorated in fact that one day John Legend picked up the phone, called me up and said, "Hey man, do you want to do a TED Talk?" And I was like, "Yes, John Legend, I would love to do a TED Talk." I did a TED Talk and it blew up on the internet, and for the last 4 years I've been traveling the country and the world with every celebrity and artist and athlete and activist you can possibly think of, talking about criminal justice reform. In the fall of 2015, I got to sit with the 44th President of the United States of America in his house and tell him what I thought of his criminal justice policy. Last summer I got to sit in Oprah Winfrey's house and let Oprah tell me how dope she thought I was. In the last year, I've had a rap lyric, a children's book, and a documentary all made about me. And in 2018, Nelson Mandela's family named me the Nelson Mandela Changemaker of the Year. I've started 2 businesses, I've sold a book, and I've spent my fortune that I've created from those 3 things on helping other people lift themselves and their families up and out of poverty, and continue to do that every single day. I don't tell you any of that to humble brag or to name drop. I'm not telling you any of that for praise and applause. In fact, I'm telling you that to make this point and this point only. None of that happens. None of that happens if I don't win the lottery. Because the person who pulled me over in my driveway. The police officer who pulled me over was a white man. The police officer who pulled me over was my father. And after he took me down to the station and sat me in a cell for a little while to teach me a lesson, he took me home and he loved me. Just like he loved me every time I screwed up after that. Just like someone loved you every time you screwed up before you got to where it is that you are in your life. Just like maybe we need to love more people who are coming into our system, and certainly love all of them who are coming out of our system, and provide them the support, the guidance, and the love to succeed. The lottery ticket I won did not happen out in the driveway. It happened many, many years before that. I was born in a violent and impoverished neighborhood, and I was immediately orphaned. I spent the next few months of my life in an orphanage until one day 2 lovely white people from suburban Boston came and picked me instead of the other kid. I got to go home with them. I grew up in their white working class town. I had white working class friends. I went to white working class schools, and that shield of privilege protected me from the bottom of that rabbit hole. And the fact that I get to spend all of my time celebrating all of these things and having all of these advantages and privileges because I won the lottery, and every single person that I've met in prison, in juvenile detention facilities, in impoverished neighborhoods, in domestic violence shelters, and homeless shelters, and returning home from prison don't get to have these opportunities because they didn't win the lottery, is one of the most profound and unfair vestiges of our system. And it drives me crazy. And I hope it drives you crazy too. Because if I walked into a classroom in my very nice neighborhood, and I walked in and I asked a group of 12th graders what it was that made them feel as safe as they do in their very nice community, they would not start with the fact that police are arresting bad people and keeping them away from them and locking them up. They would start by saying things like, I have a roof over my head. I have food in my belly when I'm hungry. I have a place to sleep. I have a school to go to that I feel good at and valued at. I have health care. I have transportation. I have all of these things that make me feel safe much before we start talking about arresting, prosecuting, punishing, and shaming people. And so if a group of 12th graders in my affluent neighborhood can understand that, why is it so hard for us to arrest ourselves away and divorce ourselves from the system that we have built that requires people to get put through the ringer and then dropped in a community without support? Why is it so difficult to understand with a little bit of love, attention, and the resources like your organization provides, we can beat this pandemic once and for all? I'm asking you to join me today. Join all of the lovely people that you have met and that you will continue to meet who are returning from our system. Understand that they are the geniuses. They deserve to be the keynote speakers, not me. Join us and just see what beauty waits on the other side if we finally can repair the harm that we've done and rid ourselves of this pandemic and mass incarceration once and for all. Thank you for your time today. I love all of you, and I look forward to hearing from you and walking alongside of you. Thank you.
Wow, some powerful words. Thank you, Adam, for sharing your story and for giving us such a call to action. You know, as I mentioned earlier in parts 1 and 2 of the Changemaker Luncheon series, we heard from Derek and we heard from Marquita about their lives before Pioneer and how their lives were transformed by the skills they gained at Pioneer. Well, here is where they are now.
Here I am still working at Pioneer. I'm 42 now. I was so happy to just be employed and have a purpose and be back to my trade. And I just lived here as much as I could. As often as they'd let me out of work release, I was here.
When I first got to Pioneer, I started out as a trainee in cargo liners, and shortly I moved to the SAWS area, and I eventually made it to quality assurance. And so I was a quality assurance inspector. I love my job. I love the people there. It's a good feeling.
The last thing that I wanted to do, my 5-year goal, was to buy a house. I went ahead and took a chance and applied for a home loan, and I got approved for a lot more than I thought I would. It was almost 5 years to the day that I closed on my house. I get the keys this Friday for me and my son, which is pretty awesome.
While working as a quality assurance inspector, I got a chance to work with the Boeing inspectors. I would watch what they do, and I was like, I want to do that. You know, that's what I want to do. And so I applied, and I got an interview. And I aced the interview, and I did not pass the background check. I decided to try it again. And so I tried it again, and again I made it through the interview, and here we come with the background check. And about 2 days later, I got a phone call, and when he called me, he said, "Welcome to the Boeing Company."
I mean, I've got all 3 of my kids. You know, I can be in their life anytime I want. I have the respect of their moms. My parents are proud of me. My grandma's proud of me. If I need to go and stay at somebody's house, I don't even have to ask. I just show up any hour, any day. I just tell them, hey, I want to crash out here with the kids. Okay, come on in. I mean, my middle boy, he doesn't live with me full time, but he can bring his laptop with him and he can stay with me for a week, and she knows that he's going to be safe.
Life is great. I have my own place. I'm currently a quality assurance manager at Boeing. I have 3 grandchildren, 4th one on the way. My grandson up here, we're thick as thieves. And so I spoil the crap out of the grandkids and make sure that they don't need anything. I go by Momo. Momo's going to take care of it for you.
Pioneer saved my life, and I have a huge debt, I feel, to repay that, not only to Pioneer, but to other people that come through the doors, you know, and that's one of the amazing things about working here, is that I can take this career that I built for myself while running amok of my life, and I can actually teach people who are getting out of prison, you know, that don't have a skill. I can show these guys, like, look, if you want it, I can teach you how to be a successful machinist and make good money, you know, and I'm a living example that, you know, just because there's hiccups in life, it's not the end of the world.
I do think it's important to give. I mean, as a matter of fact, I'm in a position today where I can give back. And so whenever I can, I definitely support functions like this. I mean, I don't know what I would have done if Pioneer Industries wasn't there for me back in 1996, where I would have ended up. I mean, I'm just thank goodness that they were here.
If Pioneer wasn't here, and if it wasn't for the people that have helped support this company, I don't know where I would be. And if it wasn't for the people that I've met here, the odds are I'd probably still be on the street, or I'd be back in prison, you know, because I wouldn't have had the opportunities presented to me and been shown how to appreciate that the way that I've learned here at Pioneer.
What an awesome story from both Derek and Marquita. It just shows you what's possible with little love, a little opportunity, and a lot of Pioneer Human Services. So thank you for sharing. We are so honored that you are part of our community. Well, now I want you to meet Carlos, one of Pioneer's board members, on the importance of Pioneer and why he gives.
Thanks, Angela. Welcome to everyone joining us, and thank you for being here. My name is Carlos Ruiz, and I have the honor and privilege of serving as a Pioneer Human Services board member. Derek and Marquita's stories are why I am so proud to support Pioneer. Thank you both for sharing your journey and success. Pioneer is one of the most focused organizations I have ever worked with. Our commitment to helping our clients is second to none, and you can see it in the end-to-end services and support we provide. Our mission is not an easy one, but we are fortunate to have a staff, leadership team, and board that takes on this mission because it is needed, not because it is easy. I encourage you to support Pioneer financially to create a more just community. Your gift will have an impact on our clients who have been disproportionately hit by COVID-19 and the resulting economic downturn. More than half the people we serve in King County are people of color who are widely documented as being more impacted by COVID-19. There is also a higher prevalence of homelessness, unemployment, and early death in people who have been incarcerated, even in non-pandemic times. Please give today and give generously, because now, more than ever, it is time we invest in people, not prisons. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Carlos. I agree with you that Pioneer plays a vital role in our community and that the need has never been greater than it is this year. Please give today to support this amazing and important work. Here's how you do it. You can give by clicking the donate button on Pioneer's website. You can also text Pioneer to 345-345. And we're still taking checks. You can just send a check to the address on Pioneer's website. Donors who give $500 or more through September 25th will be entered into a drawing for 2 round-trip tickets to anywhere Alaska Airlines flies. I want to thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you to all of our sponsors and to our Life Changer sponsor, Vulcan. We want to check our fundraising totals one more time. We're a little shy of our goal, but we're at $164,000, which is awesome. The good news is there's still time to do this. We want to get to 225. Again, click the donate button on the website or text us to give. You make the extraordinary impact that we've talked about today possible. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for your generosity, and have a great rest of your day.